What is it that attracts and holds our attention?
Well, here I am. Hey, just a cotton-picking minute. This don't look like the Coachella Valley to me. I knew I should have taken that left turn at Albuquerque. Oh well, I'll just ask this jet into fancy knickerbockers. I beg your pardon me, sir, but could you direct me to the shortest route to the Coachella Valley of the Big Carrot Festival therein? What's up, Doc? Stop steaming up my tail! What are you trying to do, wrinkle it? Let's see now, Coachella Valley. Then to Las Vegas, San Bernardino. Of course you realize this means war.
Bugs Bunny, wise-cracking rabbit, stumbles into bullring, making new enemy of raging bull. When it came to making attention-grabbing films, the creators of Looney Tunes cartoons certainly knew a thing or two. They made some of the most memorable and valuable film assets of the 20th century. So it's worth having a look at how they did it. Because as Bill Bernbach says, if your advertising goes unnoticed, then everything else is academic. When you read Chuck Jones's autobiography, the animator, director, co-creator of those brilliant Looney Tunes cartoon characters, you begin to realize that his creative principles, those of Bugs Bunny, Wile E. Coyote and others, are not so very different from the storytelling of Mark Twain, or indeed the great painters of the Italian and Dutch Golden Ages. And it comes down to three things: character, incident, and place. Leonardo's Last Supper, Christ and his 12 disciples. When we look at the painting, we realize that something has just happened. Jesus has just announced that there is a traitor in their midst. From the left, we see surprise in the faces of Bartholomew, James, and Andrew. Then we come to Judas, Peter, and John. Judas is rather taken aback. He knocks over the salt cellar whilst clutching tight to his bag of silver. His head is held low. Peter, knife in hand, looks angry and is signalling to John to ask Jesus who it is that has betrayed him. The other side of Christ are Thomas, James the Greater, and Philip. Thomas looks upset and raises a finger in incredulity. James holds his arms in the air, and Philip demands further explanation. Then we have Thaddeus and Matthew, who turn to Simon for explanation. And then there's the bread. Christ has pronounced that the person to reach next for the bread at the same time as him is the traitor. Judas, distracted by Peter and John, unwittingly reaches for his bread, the same piece of bread that Christ himself is reaching for. The whole scene is loaded with incident and suspense. The Last Supper influences this painting, The Syndics, by Rembrandt, a masterful group portrait of bourgeois merchants in the Drapers' Guildhall. First, the overall composition follows Leonardo's golden ratio, but look at the way the man second from the left is caught rising to his feet, much like the disciples in the Last Supper. Rembrandt originally sketched the man standing and painted him, first of all, to the left of the picture, but that would give the painting a monotonous fixity. Painting him rising to his feet whilst looking up at us gives the whole composition drama. Again, the whole picture is loaded with incident and suspense. Vermeer was Rembrandt's contemporary and had the eye of a modern-day film director. Lenses were becoming more and more readily available in this period, and some say that he used a lens or a camera obscura to frame his paintings. They certainly have something of a filmic quality about them. In this one, a maid passes a letter to her mistress at her cabinet writing table. As with many of Vermeer's paintings, the subject is painted from her left side. The left hemiface, controlled by the right brain, tends to be more expressive and has long been the favoured profile for artists. And note how she holds her left hand up to her chin. A moment's hesitation, perhaps, thinking of someone. Look at the expressions on their faces and the interplay between them. What is happening here? The mistress is younger and less confident than her older maid. It looks as though she is or was about to put pen to paper when she receives the letter. But who is the letter from? What does it say? The detail is so rich we feel as though we are there ourselves, witnessing a moment of some psychological importance. The costumes are Vermeer's from his costume drawer. These are actors acting out a scene full of human incident and pregnant with expectation, and we are transfixed by it. These paintings and Bugs Bunny all have something in common. They can all be described by answering three questions. Who is involved? What happens? And where is it set? These three questions, or if you like, character, incident, place, are important for understanding what's happening in these paintings and in these films. Yet much advertising today cannot be described by asking and answering those three questions. It has very different features. It has more in common with the self-consciousness and rather vain frontality of Dürer in this self-portrait, or the lessons imparted to us by Cranach's crucifixes, the centurion here pointing at the message, or the slightly shocking flatness and abstraction of Picasso, an assemblage of movable and interchangeable parts where all individual identity is lost. So what does psychology tell us about what it is we pay attention to? Well, of the 5 types of attention that psychologists broadly agree on, 4 of them are dealt with principally by the right brain. As brain lateralization expert Ian McGilchrist puts it, without alertness, we are as if asleep. Without sustained attention, the world fragments. Without vigilance, we cannot learn of anything we didn't already know. Studies on divided attention are, as Ian McGilchrist puts it, more divided, but here too there is a clear role for the right hemisphere. Only focused attention is dealt with by the left brain. And so to attract and sustain attention in advertising, it's the right brain we need to be appealing to, which means the living, the out of the ordinary, in lived time, in something approaching the real world. And these types of attention help to explain 2 different types of advertising too. Ads such as this one on the left that assume an interest in the product, for people already looking for things, created for goal-focused attention.
Give me a 20-second sprint here, Peloton. Yes, you can.
30 days of game-changing cardio.
Give me everything you got.
Try the bike for yourself. Introducing 30-day home trial from Peloton.
And then ads that don't assume an interest in the product, for people who may not be looking for things, at least yet, created to attract and sustain the attention of the viewer, to raise the salience of the brand as a future possibility.
Okay, campers, rise and shine. It's Groundhog Day. And don't forget your booties, because it's cold out there today.
Phil? Hey, Phil!
No, not you.
It's me, Ned Ryerson!
Okay, little fella, good job. That's different. Good job.
Hey! He got the groundhog! Phil?
Hey, you're gonna freeze to death. Who cares? See you tomorrow. them say your hair's too long. Safety first.
He's got the groundhog, Phil!
It's not personal. It's just a game. Not a bad day, huh? I don't know where we parked. I was following you.
And we have, in the last 15 years, neglected this second type of ad, which generates broader and longer effects, and have assumed instead that we're making ads only for those people who are already looking for things, the type on the left. In Lemon, I describe a set of advertising features that appeal to the right brain, that elicit an emotional response. Emotion is important in three ways, really, when it comes to advertising. The first is that it gets things noticed, it orientates our attention. The second is that it helps us to remember things, it places things in long-term memory. And the third is that it helps us to offer up a feeling, conjure up a feeling for or against options that are presented to us, the affect-heuristic psychologists call us. So could the same features that elicit an emotional response in people, as we saw in Lemon, also be the features that attract and sustain attention towards advertising? We teamed up with TV advertising attention measurement company T-Vision to explore whether the features described in Lemon might be associated with attention. We examined 195 ads for which T-Vision and System 1 had both attention and emotional response data. The ads were coded up blind. The coder had no knowledge of the attention or emotional data for each ad. To the features described in Lemon, I added a further 10 that might have specific bearing on attention. For the left brain, I added human frontality, people filmed from the front looking into the camera, and self-consciousness, or a focus on self-image, if you like, a bit like that Dürer painting. It's uncomfortable to look someone in the eye for very long. I also added socially willed, superficial positive feelings, a left brain tendency. We also included smiles here, shown out of context. Given the left brain's focus on things, I also added product centricity. The left brain likes to break things down into smaller parts, so I also added split screen effects. For the right brain, I added something out of the ordinary, an incident, if you like. The right brain is alert and vigilant after all. We also looked for a few features involving the living, human touch, spontaneous changes in facial expression, a bit like that Vermeer painting, animated characters and animals. There's already evidence from the Ehrenberg Bass Institute that animals are helpful in eliciting attention. So does our extended list continue to explain emotional response? Yes, these features are negatively, left, and positively, right, associated with System 1's emotional amplifier, the star rating, as they did before. What might be described as frontality, instruction, and product-focused features are less likely to elicit a positive emotional response, whereas features that might be described as character, incident, or place, is my shorthand here, are likely to elicit a positive emotional response, and these relationships are significant. And what about attention? Well, the same features that are associated with greater emotional response are also associated with stronger attention. It is character, incident, and place that attract and hold attention, and this frontality, instruction, and product centricity that causes us to disengage. With a great deal of advertising spend now moving to online advertising, the question we often hear is, how do I make a 6-second ad? Well, I wonder if we haven't got the question the wrong way round. Shouldn't we really be asking, how do we ensure that our advertising is so interesting that people stay with us for as long as possible? Perhaps these right brain features that I describe might be able to do that. Perhaps they might lead to better business effects too. We set out with the IPA's databank to find out. We identified IPA campaigns that used online video from 2016 to 2020. These also, in the main, used TV, but we were also able to look at a subset of campaigns whose online video spend was on average greater than their spend on TV, and in some cases had no TV budget at all. We analysed them for left and right brain features, 160 videos in total across 53 campaigns. They were coded up blind. We attributed a right brain skew score, that's to say the number of right brain features minus left brain features, for each campaign, and ordered the campaigns on this right brain skew. Peter Field then overlaid the analysis on the IPA's databank. The first thing to say is that the IPA video campaigns show a much better balance of features, a much greater emphasis on the right brain than you see with a more typical set of TV ads, already indicating that right brain features might be associated with greater effectiveness. So what kind of effects do these right and left brain campaigns achieve? Well, it may come as no surprise to learn that left brain campaigns were more likely to drive direct effects and web traffic. They don't work by sustaining attention so much, but by priming a targeted audience with the brand or product up front. And when you look at these campaigns, those that drive these direct effects, something strikes you. Their first frames look a great deal like billboards, and those that don't spell out the brand up front like this will mostly go on to show or mention the brand in the first few seconds. If you want to create direct effects and drive web traffic, then this is the kind of advertising that will do it, priming a targeted and receptive audience with your brand. Perhaps we could do worse than to take David Ogilvy's advice on posters. He said, to create a visual scandal, deliver your selling promise in words but also pictorially. Use the largest possible type, make your brand visible, use strong, pure colours. Never use more than 3 elements in your design. But in itself, this kind of work only fulfills a fraction of advertising's true promise, and only a fraction of online's true promise. Because we also found something else in the data, something rather arresting. We found that overall, video campaigns with a right brain skew were more effective. They generate a greater number of very large business effects. This despite their lower levels of extra share of voice and shorter campaign durations. Right brain video campaigns generate greater sales gain, greater market share gain, and greater profit gain than left brain campaigns. This is also true when we look at those campaigns in the set that had lower TV spend. That's to say those brands that on average spent less on their TV than on their online video. The same pattern holds. Right brain campaigns are more effective at driving very large business effects. Something strikes you when you look at these high-performing right brain campaigns, how each has character, incident, and place. Let's look at one of them. Note too how the brand is at the heart of each of character, incident and place.
Morning all. Morning. Brothers, sisters, today a great legacy rests upon your shoulders. Because here we make more than just tea. We make proper brews. Brews that bring a tear to your eye and warmth to your soul. So go out there and do it for each other. Do it for yourselves, but most of all, do it for Yorkshire! Oh, and the fire drill's Thursday at 3.
Yorkshire tea, where everything's done proper.
Next, we teamed up with Facebook to investigate how ads work on their platform. They provided us with 100 ads from large corporate campaigns, which all followed Facebook's media best practices. These were coded for right and left brain features, and the 10 most right and 10 most left brain ads, determined by their first 3 seconds, were tested on mobile for attention with attention measurement specialist Lumen. All 100 were also tested by us at System 1 for emotional response. Facebook compared this analysis with their success criteria: brand lift, conversion, and sales lift. The first thing we observed was that ads on Facebook tend to be skewed strongly towards left-brain features. Even the most right-brained ads didn't have particularly high numbers of right-brain features, so it's difficult to tease out meaningful differences. In a news feed, you don't have long to make an impression, as Professor Karen Nelson Field and measurement companies such as Lumen have shown. Looking at attention, we see there is a marginal advantage for the more right-brained ads. And when you look at the correlation across all these ads between the upfront presence of right and left-brained features and the proportion of people still watching at every one of the first 6 seconds, you find something else. That the ads that people are watching after 3, 4, 5, 6 seconds look more and more like right-brained ads and less like left-brain ads. If people are watching beyond the first couple of seconds, it's likely that they are watching an ad with right-brain features. And even these mildly right-brained ads are more likely to perform better on measures that indicate broader and longer effects. Here, System 1 star rating and spontaneous brand recall. Facebook's analysis of these features suggests a marginal advantage for even these mildly right-brained ads on Facebook's success rate measures. It also reveals an advantage for ads with higher star ratings, that's to say, with greater emotional response. This is true for ads that don't adhere to Facebook's Brilliant Basics guidelines, but also true of those ads that do. Ads that achieve higher star ratings tend to have more right-brain features, as we know. So what about YouTube? Well, we looked at a random sample of 100 recent YouTube ads provided by Nielsen to find out. Again, these were coded for right and left-brain features, overall and the first 5 seconds separately. The 10 most right and left-brain ads in the first 5 seconds were tested for attention again with Lumen and by System 1 for emotional response. The way ads are served on YouTube is perhaps closer to TV than Facebook, but it turns out that YouTube ads themselves are closer to TV ads than Facebook ads in creative style too. Look here at the right-brain skew at the bottom of the chart. So what do we find on YouTube? Well, the same result, that right-brained ads are more noticeable and more memorable, more likely to drive those long and broad effects. Chuck Jones, in his autobiography, writes, "Personality, that is the key, the drum, the fife. Forget the plot. Can you remember or care to remember the plot of any great comedy? Chaplin, Woody Allen, the Marx Brothers?" And then, quoting Mark Twain, "The writer merely has some people in his mind and an incident or two, also a locality. He knows the selected locality and he trusts that he can plunge those people into incidents with interesting results." Character, incident, place, and the greatest of these is character. Perhaps that, in the end, is the secret of great TV and online video advertising.